No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here. No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going up because there would be demand for pork. Tweets aren't pork. We vote with our pork here.
I see the most out, G's up, feeling all bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see the hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see the hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, G's up, feeling in my bag, yeah. I see them hoes out, G's up, feeling all bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, G's up, feeling in my bag, yeah.
Thank you for coming early. This is Have a Take with Chair and Lake. Please like and subscribe and share and repost and retweet and update. Now, we will begin shortly.
I see them hoes out, G's up, feeling all bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bags on my feet up. Hoes down, G's up, feeling on my bag, yeah. I see them hoes down, G's up, feeling in my bag, yeah.
No park. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork. Pork. I tag your mom, I'm your store, bags of pork, you're a dork.
Welcome, everyone, to Have a Take with Chair and Lake. I am Chair, and that is Lake.
Like, yeah, let's get some more equitable screen coverage here because I was kind of in the corner for a second. But yes, I'm Lake, and as you see, there's a lake next to me. And how you doing, Chair?
I am great. I am excited and happy to be back here. This is we've strung a few shows together here now, 4 or 5. We are being consistent. We are broadcasting on a weekly basis for you, the 14 now live viewers that we have, and we thank you for being here. And please share what you are watching now.
Well, there's a lot you could say about us, but you have to give it to us. We're nothing else but consistent.
Incredibly consistent. And if it's a goopy consistency that you like,
if that is your priority in a show, then we are top 10 for sure.
we bring you the goop. I have my coffee. I am amped up. We're ready to go. The past few shows, Lake, we have taken youth down into the rabbit hole of crypto. You have successfully set up your wallet and funded your wallet, and we have taken.
I have successfully
listeners through the
lost my
journey.
money, successfully freaked out about where it went, and then successfully retrieved it, and then successfully spent it, half of it, on things that I didn't need.
Have you
And
successfully gambled it away?
I actually doing pretty well on the gambling, even though it's illegal in California, so it's just theoretically like it's monopoly money, maybe. And but you remember we had our guest Ilya. He was our first and only guest so far, and he made some outrageous statements about the NBA Finals. So I basically went against everything he said and did pretty well. In the end, we both
So
knew
you
that.
cross-booked him essentially.
Well, he made some cogent points, so I did take those points and use them. But then his conclusion is based on delusion, copyright, and so I just didn't like whatever. Like I took the points he said and then just absolutely did not bet on what he was going to bet. So yeah, so that actually went okay. That is part of the crypto origin story of how I got into it. And since we're recapping a bit for our emerging audience, like the reason I got into it was crypto and contacted you about it was my third story or third book in the Tailored in Blood series that I have written. Second one is behind me, volume 2. I'll do a little quick morning mist, come back. Is going to involve crypto. And so basically I learned a lot of what I can do and make it as realistic as possible. And it's going pretty well. And I feel like the more I can learn from Chair, the more that I get into it. Thank you. Oh, yeah. And it has a riveting review, which I just want to appreciate everyone, that individual. We could go into why I'm into it and why I like it, but I am a novice, and that is kind of my purpose here. Was I thought it would be a good idea for someone like me to ask stupid questions that people that have no idea about like crypto or what it is, and I realize it's really complicated, so it'd be a good breakdown. But like if you talk to people in the know, they use the jargon, and they're so fluent in it that like after a few sentences it just goes over your head. And so I'm that guy that says, whoa, what the hell are you saying? And asked and shares very I'll let you talk about it. You're very passionate, and what I liked about your passion was that it's idealistic as well as, you want to make money, like you're capitalistic, I guess, and take the time to explain it, and you want people to get into it. And so and avoid scams, and which I told Cher off behind the scenes, backstage, but I have a story. I'm waiting for the resolution, and I don't want the audience to lose respect for my intelligence, so I will not be sharing it today.
Can I challenge you in the audience on something real quick? We do have 14 live listeners at the moment. We thank everyone for being here, and if you are watching, please share and repost and retweet. Most of you are on Twitter, so it would help a lot in our burgeoning and emerging show and audience if you can share a little bit. But I challenge you, the audience, to share so that we can hit, let's say, a threshold of 169 viewers. And would you then be willing to maybe share a little bit more about
if we reach 100 viewers at the same time? I will 100 concurrent. I will share. If we have 100 at any point over the next episode and the episode following, I will share it then. The only thing is, like, I'm writing a book about scams. I'm learning about scams. You are describing scams. And to be scammed in such an insidious, quite frankly, on my part, stupid way, to be so fucking dumb. Sorry. After literally, this is what I'm doing. Like, part of the book is just like researching it and all. It's just going to take some time to digest, and like I said, like I needed to say it in a way that the audience doesn't like. Why would the audience ever listen to any cogent, intelligent point I'd ever say after how not only easily, enthusiastically I got scammed. Like I had to work for it. So I just can't.
There were many steps involved. Well, I would say, what better way to educate yourself on the process of it? It wasn't and the mindset of the victim to be writing about it. I mean,
it's in the book.
You have first class experience now.
Yeah, I have to make it worth it by putting it in the book. And it's not crypto. If it was crypto related, I would just bite the bullet and do it for the show. But since it's not, I'm just gonna have to. I don't know. We'll see if we have time at the end. If by the way, can people should like if they want to write about scams, if they want to write about things to look out for, if they have embarrassing stories like mine that may be shared, they could like write on Twitter, right, and tell us. they could reach out?
Yes, please, dude. You can tag at Very Comfy or at Dude Lightlake, as you see there on the screen. We also have a new X account at Lake Chair. That'll be for
Yeah.
this very show that you are watching. And if you could follow at Lake Chair, that would help out a lot. But yeah, please, if you have been scammed in a particular way, or maybe you want to shed some light on a rug crew or 2 or 10 or 100, or is it all just the same cabal out there?
Yeah.
Let us know. And we do see your comments in the chat wherever you might be watching. We are live on YouTube and Twitch and X. I was scammed for a lot of ETH in the first NFT project I ever really messed around with during DeFi summer around 2020 or during 2020, and it does not feel good. It does not feel good to be taken for any amount of money. And if we hit some threshold, I will talk about that. I'll do the same. If we hit 100 concurrent, I'll talk about that.
But like when I thought I lost all my money I invested, which was literally $50, that one time in ETH. By the way, DeFi, decentralized finance, allows lending, borrowing, and earning interest without banks. I just gotta.
Have you done any DeFi actions yet? Have you borrowed?
No, but like literally when you said that, I had to look it up. So I'm just like, I'm here for those people. And so yeah, like, but I feel like in your case or with crypto, like that is maybe part of the learning curve, and you actually learned a lot. Like you paid for a lesson in a way by your scam, and I don't think you can say that about what happened to me. So. But we do go over safety tips, and like the best safety tip that Chair gave me was when I thought I lost my ETH, which I didn't, but it was a little convoluted how it happened, is check. So they're like, what, 15 numbers on the wallets, correct?
There are, sorry, you're talking about your address, correct?
I'm sorry, if like what you can, okay. Let me back up. You put your money, your crypto money in a wallet, correct?
Yes, you could think of it that way. Yes. Your wallet is your wallet.
Yeah.
It's, where the assets that you control live.
And and no one can find out who owns that wallet purely based on looking at the number or it is.
What number?
Or does every wallet? Sorry, does every wallet have a number? Does every wallet have a number?
Every wallet has an address, and we're talking about Ethereum and Bitcoin. They work the same way, but yes, every wallet has an address.
And that address is what? It's an ID.
555 North Main Street.
No, but I'm saying
so for Ethereum, I believe it's 18 numbers and letters. I could be wrong. Every Ethereum address starts with 0x. That indicates that it's a hexadecimal.
Could we say that a wallet address is its wallet ID?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Every wallet has an ID. You have an ID. That's your public address.
Okay, now, that's what I meant.
Every wallet has a public address, and that's where you would tell people to send you funds. And when you are interacting, the public sees your public address. It's pretty self-explanatory. But you also have a private key. So there's a public key and a private key, and that private key is something that you should never share. That private key is what generates your public key. And the custody, or who controls that private key, is the big difference between a custodial wallet, or a wallet that you essentially do not control, and a non-custodial wallet, or a wallet that you have complete control over, and some consequences that go along with it if you are not operating in a secure fashion.
And most people that have a wallet would be a custodial wallet. The majority of wallets are custodial wallets.
I'm not sure what the current stats are. I would assume that yes, centralized exchanges are more dominant than non-custodial wallets. That was not always the case. I think that probably flipped.
But custodial wallets are kind of like, if you don't know what you're doing, like me, you're probably gonna get a custodial wallet.
I think it's okay to start with like everyone's on ramp. It's fine to use a centralized exchange. You don't really have many other options unless you have a friend who's willing to do an
Okay.
over the counter deal or like something where you give them cash for crypto. But otherwise, like you sort of have to use some
And these
centralized on ramp.
and these wallet IDs, the public ones, we will get into your private key thing some other or in a second because I'm
There is a ZK. I think what are they called? I don't remember. There is a ZK based on ramp thing where through Zelle or not Zelle, but one of the other payment apps you can send
I see.
money
Yeah.
and receive, and there's very limited amount of data that's
Right.
passed between.
And that's
services.
actually like the non-stable coin, all these things. That is actually really relevant to investing now and collateral, and that's really emerging. And so, and we've
Right.
discussed that before. But real quick about the wallet ID. The wallet ID public does not have a name attached to it, correct?
Not by default, no, but you can buy an ENS name, Ethereum name service name, to add to have a .eth name that is linked to a specific address. So I have one for Very Comfy .eth, and you can do one like
Yeah.
the fewer.
But that's
characters
voluntarily. There's no involuntary. Like if you want to remain anonymous, that's how it's set up.
Yeah, but like it depends. Like when you say anonymous, it's anonymous from who? If it's like the general public.
Okay, so
people,
basically, what I was saying for that is, and I'm saying basically because I'm like a student, and when I taught, I hated that word, and now I've realized that I'm saying it. But you have this ledger that records, in theory, or you could correct me, or in practical terms, records every transaction that was done on that blockchain. Correct? Is it all recorded?
Yeah. Yes. Correct. Everything on Ethereum and Bitcoin and most blockchains is completely public. Every action that is taken, unless it uses some type of service.
So I could look up any transaction, but my point is, all I'll see is a random consortment of numbers that consist of the ID. I will not see share, invested this or that. It's just
no.
So
that's not necessarily, but like people divulge a lot of information that gives away who they are and where they interacted. That can, like, for instance, just as an example that I'm making up, you might overhear that someone said, "Oh, I was the first one to mint this NFT from this NFT collection." Thank you.
Or you could say that I'm Satoshi.
You could say that you hung out with Satoshi in the early 90s.
Or I know who Satoshi is. Yeah, like Sonny Pippen.
So there's people not having good operational security leads them to perhaps divulging it like very easily. But if you're operating with zero information, anything, you're looking at addresses that did stuff.
So someone gave me, let's call it the Lake and Share exchange, and we're like the exact same as Bitcoin.
Are we a centralized exchange?
We're just like Bitcoin, but we're calling it Lake and Share.
Oh, we're a blockchain.
We're a blockchain.
Lake Share chain.
And if you can take and you can see every transaction that had occurred.
Yeah.
And what I'm saying is, all you would see is, if you have no idea what it is just a bunch of random wallet numbers making transactions to other wallet numbers. Basically.
Correct. Yeah.
And that is what I'm saying is, like, that is what, in a way, everything is preserved forever. And it's very, what's it called? Not translucent, but like transparent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's out in a way. It's also very privatized in the sense that you don't know who it is.
It's anonymized in a sense, yes, in that it's just numbers. Where things become complicated. There's also other information that you can find. Like, so there's block explorers, there's Bitcoin block explorers, there's Ethereum block explorers, there's Solana block explorers. And for every network, there is a block explorer. On Ethereum, the main one is Etherscan. On Solana, it's SolScan. There's a lot of information that you can find.
I got block scan when I was trying to find out what was happening.
So it's really important to become familiar if you're doing anything with on any of these networks or anything at all. And even if you're not, what's very important and I think overlooked a lot, and there's people that have done literally tens of thousands of transactions on blockchains without understanding how to read a block explorer. So anytime that you do a transaction, I encourage any transaction at all, transferring, sending somebody some value, anything, I encourage you to always look at the receipt of that on the block explorer, because the more it's not, people are intimidated because it's more information than you're prepared to process and you don't know what all of it means. But reading it line by line and say, okay, figuring out, okay, this address sent this value to this address. There's the timestamp and there's some mumbo jumbo code that I don't understand. Understand as much as you can and leverage AI as much as you can to explain to you. You can copy and paste. You could take a screenshot and just paste that into Claude and say, explain to me what's going on here. Leveraging screenshots with AI, I didn't realize that was a huge unlock for me when somebody told me that that you can just screenshot things and send it or images like so. Yeah.
Also, that's why I came in was I have a certificate from USF, University of San Francisco, as an AI advisor. So
incredible.
Expert.
Congratulations.
Officially. Yeah, I mean, I know. The graduation party was off the hook.
Was it raucous?
There was definitely at least one person there. And but my point is, AI is there is a convergence, and there's also, but they also diverge a bit. And I went to a conference, not a conference. It's called Pizza Day. We're not going to get into what Pizza Day was.
The Pizza DAO party. Oh, it's interesting that you bring up AI because I have some AI. I have some AI blockchain intersection.
But I just wanted to go real quick. But the first, so just to end this. My point was you could check all the wallet numbers and IDs, and they are very complicated in a mix of randomized numbers and letters, or in my opinion. But your technique, which is a common technique, was to check, since you're not going to be able to memorize 18 numbers or even write them down accurately, check the first 4 numbers of the wallet that you're sending it to and the last 4 digits. And that is a good way to make sure that you are sending it to the right place. Because if you send it, what I found out, to the wrong wallet, even if no one owns that wallet and no one stole your money, it could be frozen and never touched. And so, like, for a while, I could see my $50 just hanging out in a wallet, but I had no idea of how to access it, which is a very frustrating feeling. And like it seems like not many people are going to help you get it back. I was lucky to share kind of walking through it, even though it was a simple misstep. It wasn't like we had to call someone. But one of the main things is, and I had a 10 list real quick. I'm just going to put one of the main top 10 things to know if you're not into crypto and you want to get into it is stay informed. But also, security is your responsibility. And this is from ChatGPT. You must safeguard your wallets and keys. If you lose your private key or get hacked, your crypto is likely gone forever. And then you can tell me if you agree with this, Chair. Use hardware wallets or trusted apps with 2-factor authentication. But the point is, for me, it was like, it is so up to you. And I think that's what crypto people like buyer beware. This is not for here, I'm going to try it. And if not try it, I'm going to call and say, oops, my money's back. Or even if you send it to the wrong wallet, be prepared that it's just gone. Correct?
Correct. There's a number of ways that people can get drained or their funds stolen or whatever. Clicking a link is often the way. You click a link that, or God forbid, a file, you download a file that you shouldn't, that can corrupt your computer or install malware. not corrupted. Well, and or corrupt or install malware or a drainer or a keylogger, and you will have or an address spoofer that mimics what your address looks like but changes a few characters are different and so on and so forth, where you can be screwed. So like being careful about what you click on is the first thing you should try to practice.
Right.
And from there, being, people, even very experienced people, get caught up in the speed or the moment of something happening and send funds somewhere, click something, or trust somebody. A common scam is for people to fake being a company or a project that's interested in somebody's services or hiring them, asking them to join a video call, either asking them to screen share during that call, and then requesting access to their screen via that, or downloading a weird like Zoom spoofed Zoom file, or a number of other ways where they gain access or able to put something.
That's called the phishing scam.
The phishing, I think links are more phishing. Like if you send somebody an email with a link that you hope that they click to download.
One of the biggest things, there's this show on Netflix. There's a lot of good, even if it's not accurate, and I understand that it might not be completely 100%, but there's a lot of good like Bitcoin theft shows that kind of go through it.
Really?
And one was like a fake. The way that these guys did it was they would send like your login information, and you'd click on the login, and then once you like typed in once you click the link, they could see what you were typing.
Mm-hmm.
And so like they could just get your password because you would type it, and like they would just record it, and then they'd be like, you would fail, and you would just like, oh, I gotta go to a different browser, but like you don't change your password, so they have it. And so that was, but like, so yeah, quick ways to know what you're doing. But then the 404. So check your first 4 digits and last digits of the wallet that you are sending it to, and then now. Cher was saying a couple episodes ago that even the scammers got onto that. So now check maybe 4 random middle ones also.
Yeah. Look in the middle. Memorize a string in the middle too. And then like that's just for like when you're when you're pasting in your address, somebody says, "Oh, what's your address?"
Which is what you're going to copy and paste your address, because even typing it in, you're going to be inaccurate when it's 18. So like. That's also the issue.
And these programs can be intelligent enough to know to wait and understand when you're copying your own address and pasting it into a Telegram or a Discord or whatever chat thing, and only spoof it then, and be able to generate an address that is close enough to yours that you wouldn't be able to notice. And these are just some of the ways that. The classic way that there have been a lot of stories over the past few weeks about people in Europe getting just wrench attacked, like, which is like being physically attacked for their crypto. When you're talking about hardware wallet, like,
people are getting kidnapped and blackmailed for the websites and keys. And
one hardware wallet that I like a lot, and of course, full disclosure, I work for a sibling company of Keycard, but I really like the Keycard wallet, and the reason I do, among many, is there is an emergency pin on your Keycard. So let's say you are attacked and someone says, "Give me your hardware wallet and give me the password to your hardware wallet." There's functionality within Keycard and Shell, which you see both there. The orange card is the Keycard, and then the shell is how you interact with it.
Wait a second. Explain what are we looking at?
Yeah. So Keycard is a hardware wallet, and that is literally, it's just a key card, and that holds your private keys. So remember I was saying you have a private key that you do not share with anybody, that nobody should ever have access to. And that is stored on that card. So you never even have to know what your private key is, and nobody can have access to it because that's an NFC chip. It's top of the line security. It's the same chip that's in your credit card.
And
right?
You would not want to know your key because someone might torture you for it or something.
Well, correct. Yeah, or just steal it. If they have your key, they don't have to torture you.
No, but we're saying like I don't even need to know the key.
Right.
know?
Right. And it should be known that like nobody memorizes their private key, or that's
Okay.
not true. But people like, I mean, yeah, it's too long anyway. But like for normal people, so your private keys are literally stored on that device. You don't know them. You know your public address, and there's a passcode and a PIN to access your funds and your assets on that card. So right now, you can already generate addresses and use your key card. But what's coming soon is the shell, which is like, if you've ever used a hardware wallet, they're generally very small and very cumbersome, and there's a lot of problems that can happen with them. So one of which is their batteries just run out, and there's no way for you to get access back to it, or it's easy to straight up brute force attack it. Like if you have physical access to it, even without the password or the PIN, an intelligent operator can gain access to your stuff, so on and so forth. So shell is really good. It's also very cheap. Like keycard and shell are cheaper than all
But
of
what
these.
is the shell? What does that do? Is
The
that like
shell is that
like
device.
like a lockbox?
It's like an interface. So if I want to send, so let's say like I want to send you some crypto right now, and I have your address, I would plug in my
Oh,
key
I
card
see.
into the shell and
I
send
see.
you via that. I
It's
don't have to use my computer. I don't
right.
have to use my phone. I don't have to. So I'm just using like the shell itself can scan a barcode, and then all of your interactions are, or a QR code. All of your interactions are on the shell. It's not on your device that is communicating with 1,000 different
This mach-
services.
this machine looks like from the first Mission Impossible that they get the message from, and then it blows up,
Mm-hmm.
like it'll self-destruct. And I think that would be if lightweight, whoever key card is listening, I think that would be a nice feature to add if you
A
like are afraid.
self-destruct.
Like
Well, the
yeah,
feature that I was excited about was they have a decoy pin. So if somebody says, "Give me your shit," you give them the decoy, and then they open it up and see. And it's not a real balance, but they see how, they're at least going to be satiated.
but
And it's not real.
imagine it blows up in their hand when they put in the wrong code.
Yeah,
or
but then I
something.
think your ability to distribute these devices might become a little bit more difficult and age
Yeah.
restricted.
Well, it's just an
on
idea.
a lot of other things. No, I like it, and I will share. Alisher, if you're listening,
Yeah, just a little
self-destruct mode.
like and you put it in, you go, like blah blah, like these are your last keys, write them down. If you choose to accept, this shit is whatever they say, this shit's gone.
Exactly.
So yeah, like that's cool, and I kind of like the old school design, to be honest, and like the analog kind of like going down, and for something that's so high tech and complicated. So you have that. You have physical ways to protect yourself, ways to not use your computer that is being susceptible, maybe off the cloud as well. And here it says air gapped and support. And then also, but then just for the basic user to make sure it's going to the right wallet, check the first 4 digits of the wallet that you're sending it to, the last 4 digits, random 4 in the middle for scammers. And just make sure, because if it goes to the wrong wallet, especially if you're the one that pressed send, and like I said, like what I learned even in that 50 was like, you did it, like it's on you. We're like, if you like made a mistake and you wanted to call your bank to reverse a charge, they're going to do it, especially if it's like for $50 or stuff like that. And there's just it's a little more hardcore, that's the word I would say, a little less sympathy for mistakes. And I felt like that's kind of the ethos of the part of the ethos of crypto. And what I liked about crypto was like the community, but also like this kind of cynical attitude of the world. And this is kind of like, we're not doing that. Like, this is different. And so if you're used to your comfy cookie cutter banking, then stay there. And but if you want to do this, it's a little different. At the same time, it's like a really strong community. And what I found as someone that's like was nihilistic about the world and and all these things was that like these people are actually very optimistic about the future because of all this crypto, not only like technology, but like kind of this philosophy and creating your own, kind of like having your own personal manifest destiny, bringing back control, bringing back anonymity, bringing back like government cannot, take willy-nilly, or like after 08 or 09, like your investments are more protected. And so that was like, in a way, even though like they have really crazy coin names and they're kind of cynical about the world, they're actually pretty hopeful. Would you agree?
I would agree, and I think there's always stuff to be nihilistic about in the world, and I think people, if anything, like there's a realism and a non black pilled approach. I think the original cypherpunk ethos of Bitcoin, the cypherpunk ethos is basically we use code and applications that, well, cypherpunks write code is part of the ethos, but so I like to say you don't have to be a cypherpunk to live like a cypherpunk, and that is to use as much as you can technology and applications that preserve your privacy, that preserve your anonymity, that are not part of the monolith mega corporations that are sharing your data and selling your data and literally profiting off of your breathing.
Or also just like your browsing and what you click on is now used to target you for advertisements and all that,
and worse. Yeah.
And
worse. So understanding that is prevalent, like building an alternative to that, and people being able to exit systems that they do not agree with, that they do not choose to be with, all the way up to the citizenship of their of the country that they live in, and that's probably like the end boss of philosophical questions when it comes to like cyber states and stuff. But the interesting question is, people do not choose the set of laws that they are born into, and is there a better system that's possible, like the nation state system? And a lot of these topics are in Farewell to Westphalia by Jared Hope and Peter Ludlow, which will be available soon, brought to you by the same group of people that bring you Keycard.
Great book to read with Morning Mist and
definitely, absolutely.
Well, what we were also discussing, and like not to that sounds really interesting, and I would read that book. But what we were discussing earlier is I'm just thinking we could exchange books with them. They could have mine, I can have theirs. But what we were talking about earlier was like that's changing, and like and that the fear is with with Trump coins and stuff, even though he's embracing it, it might become, and the government's kind of taking more now embracing it, where before they kind of tried to kill it. We were talking about JP Morgan and Wall Street now using stable coins as collateral, when before they just dismissed it altogether as a currency. And Jim, he had the funniest, his smoking, like, I don't encourage people to smoke, but if they want to, they could, like, in terms of comparing to crypto coin, I think is one of the funniest. I love that line in the sense where it's like,
it's a good meme.
Well, you hated on it. You tried to kill it in a lot of ways, and maybe that's misinterpreted. And now you're saying like, well, it's not for me, but I'm going to use it in my company because, like, well, whatever. But my point is, so the cyberpunks or cypherpunks in 0809, it kind of created crypto, even though I'm sure there was online currency before here and there. But in reaction to the too big to fail 08 crash, where everyone was getting bailed out, and they kind of foresaw, like, hey, wait a second, this was supposed to be insured. We're sacrificing all our privacy and like with like credit cards, they can track our movements, they can track everything. And the whole point was that at the end of the day, our money is safe. And that was like the trade-off. And now you're saying our money's not even safe. And not only that, the government's going to have to bail you out with taxpayers' money for you to stay. And then you're going to fucking do the same thing all over again.
Yep.
And that's what happened. And so I feel like that was the impetus, at least that's from my understanding of why this started, even though, like I said, it's not like it was born then, but I think that was like the push where I got everything together and like really made this Bitcoin happen. But you're saying through subterfuge, espionage, and whatever, and correct me if I'm wrong, like governments, companies, they're entering the game and you don't know who's who, and they're either fucking it up or they're profiting at the people's expense. And that was the whole antithesis of why this was being started.
Yep. Essentially, yes. That's a good summary of my position. I think it's been proven at this point, but indeed, it's the most interesting and exciting. I think it has been. I think it continues to be for the last 10 years, or probably for the next 10 years, in terms of how quickly it moves, the types of players involved, the excitement day to day, the swings of emotion, the potential dopamine hits, and there continues to be, it's in a growth phase. There's more and more people taking up crypto, holding crypto, becoming involved in one way or another than there are leaving. It's interesting.
And what's
interesting environment,
which we talked about before, which is also something that maybe crypto users just take for granted. But like when I explain it to even more novices than me, there are not unlimited number of coins. There's finite coins. So it's not like when things are taken over that, oh, we'll just produce more coins. Like the effect is pretty dramatic, and not only on the value of the coin, but like on emerging markets or I guess whatever, like the growth of the crypto space. Or does the finite part not matter? And I'm making too much of it.
The finite part matters. I think that's what makes it hard money, like or at least the predictability of it, or the inability to just to control the supply and the creation of it. However, the ultimate decision makers in the hard cap of any token is the validators who are running the peer-to-peer network, or the validators, the nodes that are the validators of that peer-to-peer network. If enough Bitcoin validators decide to run a version of Bitcoin software with a higher than 21 million hard cap, that will be Bitcoin, and it's defined that way. So it's a meme. The hard cap is a meme. For people who think that's baloney, I would reference the block size wars, and it took me some time to understand why this makes sense.
Yeah.
If the block size wars
do an AI, I would suggest doing an AI. I'm going to do it again because I always get, I understand the basics, but do an AI deep search on the block size wars. And I think that will at least preview what the next fight is, or how intense, and also why the finite matters. But also that was ideological. And it feels like, to me, the next fight will be more for like the soul and the future. I mean, that was also about the future, but that was still like this. It was like like-minded people kind of arguing about what was best. And yeah, of course, they had like incentives and maybe paid for by like things before. But now I feel like the future is going to be based on, how it's integrated. Like we've talked about the Trump coin, about how, you're supposed to divest all your money from all your business interests when you enter government, but every single cabinet member Trump's cabinet owns Bitcoin. They have not sold it. And we don't know where that Bitcoin is coming from, if they are making investments or people are paying through them. Iran used Bitcoin or something to evade sanctions because it couldn't be traced by the people enforcing them. So it's benefiting those people. It's benefiting a lot of politics. And we talked about Doge becoming like a silly coin into through people becoming one of the most powerful non-elected entities in the history of of Americans' government. So when I say I went on a tangent there, but my point is the fight seems like how is it going to grow? Is it going to be the cyberpunks and their vision and keeping that intact, which I think you might be more for, or is it just going to like, let's see, it's capitalism, let's see who uses it, doesn't matter if it's for nefarious purposes, doesn't matter all these things and stuff like that. And it feels like Trump made 40% of his money that he has now as president with his coins. Like, how is that good for it? Is using stable coins for the stock market collateral, is that good for it? Or does that ruin it? Is that part of it? Can that be incorporated? Or is this going to completely bastardize the vision that
we'll see. Like, I think there was a lot of from when I started paying attention and earlier, like I became aware of Bitcoin in 2010 and more or less was tracking what was happening, not investing, but tracking what was happening. And like so far, the momentum has been pretty steady, but Bitcoin and all of crypto to follow, or that has followed. What is happening now with the intermeshing between state level players and geopolitical leaders and small time political leaders is inevitable. I think it was foreseen to be inevitable.
Yeah.
And I think it boils down to the strongest structures and strongest power structures will not allow something more powerful to take over. They'll do everything in its power, or any powerful entity will do everything in its power to preserve its power. Bitcoin and crypto in general challenges the power and sovereignty of the established financial system. It is too well constructed and too widely adopted now to kill it by pumping money into it. And what I mean by that is you could try to 51% attack Bitcoin by owning 51% of the Bitcoin, but imagine what that would do to the price if state level actors began trying to buy up that much of the supply. And because will be multiple state level actors, and inevitably all sorts of people will benefit, all sorts of people they don't want benefiting would benefit from the increase in price, and ultimately they wouldn't be able to do it. I'm pretty sure it has been tried. I would just assume that has been tried.
So you're saying there are some safeguards that work in place.
Yeah, and a very interesting one right now, like Iran was purportedly, and I'm sure the United States is doing this too, just don't talk about it. I'm sure every government that has the capacity to do this is doing it, but not talking about it. And that they were mining crypto with nuclear energy from their nuclear. So it's interesting now that they don't have that, and to think about it, because it hasn't been mentioned at all, and it's very interesting to me that it hasn't been mentioned at all. Right. In the rhetoric that I've seen.
There is a whole environmental aspect we're not talking about, because Bitcoin,
to me, that's all been a psyop. That's all been just a psyop.
Well, I'm saying like that it does take an incredible amount of energy.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't take any more energy than anything else. It takes the same amount of energy as anything else takes.
Well, I mean, when I see these like huge machines going on 24 hours,
because they're competing. But what about the huge machines that are producing airplane parts and steel at steel factories?
Right, but airplanes fly. I mean, I was just saying, like, what is they used to. And then, but I guess my point is, like, what is mining? You know, what is the use of it? Is it
It's to
critical?
validate the
Is it
network.
critical to the everyday
Yes.
life of society?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, if we're going to adopt it, if Bitcoin and cryptos in general are going to be adopted and they're going to actually liberate humanity,
Well,
like
I want to
it
do
always goes back to human freedom.
I
You
want to
know?
do a whole show on mining because I still don't understand why it has to be mined. With like, I feel like that
Oh,
is
we
kind of
should. Maybe we should do that on the next one, folks.
yeah.
If you are watching, I implore you to please share, subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel. Thumbs up. Leave a comment if you're on Twitter. Please retweet and follow me. Follow Lake. Follow the new show account at Lake Chair.
Yeah.
You can see all of the usernames
Well,
on your screen there.
And always we would love interaction, and even if it's not positive, we we will take it.
Take it. We're big
But
boys.
I guess, and this will just be a preview for next time. But like, I guess I just understand, like, is the mining, is it like a game? Is it necessary? Like, if they have coins, why can't they just spread them out? Do they want people to look for it to keep the finite numbers in place? But
Is mining is it necessary? And
or no, is it like, or is it like contrived? Like, why? What is the purpose of mining, and is it necessary? I guess.
Okay, so a peer-to-peer network is the basis for all of this. Like even at the foundational layer, and Bitcoin and Ethereum and most blockchains are this way. Most public blockchains are run by individual nodes. The information and the state of the blockchain itself is shared and passed between multiple nodes. The more nodes you have run by more people, the more decentralized your blockchain is. Because if everyone nodes for your blockchain is in an apartment building in New York, you're not very decentralized. Even though they're individuals, you're not exactly decentralized. So you want geographically distributed nodes, as many as possible, for increased decentralization. What are those nodes doing? One of the things they are doing is keeping track of the state of the chain, literally everyone's balance, both historical and current and block to block, and making sure, so like the more nodes that you have, the more assurance you have that the data will persist and will always be the same, because there's many records of that. That's number one. Number two, those nodes are competing with each other, trying to solve a very complex algorithm. If they prove that they can't, if they solve that algorithm, they prove that they have the capacity to process the next block. The blockchain just refers to the state of things as it moves along in time. So a block happens in Bitcoin about every 15 seconds, I think, maybe a minute. I know in Ethereum it's about every 15 seconds. So if we're in block number 100 right now, all of the transactions that are happening within this block. Okay, I sent you 100 Bitcoin, and now my balance went from 200 to 100, and yours went to 150. And that happened in this block. The very first node to process this is the one who won, who solved the algorithm and was awarded the Bitcoin that goes along with that, and is processing all of these transactions. Then once it does the work, broadcasts its conclusions, its findings, what its state of the network is, to its nearest nodes around it, probably I think like 6. So now it went from 1 to 6, and those nodes are now validating. Do we agree with the state of things as broadcasted by that original node? If yes, then broadcast to the other nearby nodes. If no, also broadcast to nearby nodes that were rejecting this block and rolling back to the previous one. And so everyone starts validating, like all your 6 closest neighbors are who gets the first relay.
So, but how does that lead to needing to mine Bitcoin?
Because otherwise you cannot have a trustworthy state of the blockchain. So you have machines who are doing the work of
So the machines are
information.
putting coins into the
The Bitcoin protocol itself is putting, like,
okay,
the software itself is creating the Bitcoin. It's looking for someone to solve an algorithm, awarding them the Bitcoin, and then tasking them with validating the block, everything that happened in the last block.
So, I mean, that's great information. I think I understood most of it. No, but like, it's really good. But my guess, my point is on the design, or my question is on the design. Is that so it's part of the design.
Yes,
Do you
it's
think is that necessary, or
Yes,
is
and it
that like
solves a specific problem called the Byzantine generals problem that
okay?
wasn't solved until
And
this process that I'm
what is
describing
that?
of the Byzantine generals problem is, imagine you have three armies that are surrounding a city,
Yeah.
and three generals, and there's a army inside. So there's four armies. One is inside the wall. There's three outside the wall. The three armies that are outside the wall know that each of them will fail if they attack individually. They all have to attack at the
Okay.
same time. But geographically, they're dispersed. Like, they can send messengers to each other, but they can't like move their entire
I see.
armies. So they have to agree that they're going to attack at the same time, and that they're all actually going to attack and not get double crossed. So how do you so what you do, it's called proof of work. So you've probably heard proof of work. That's the consensus mechanism that Bitcoin.
I heard a
Which,
proof
so
of
you're-
life, and that's when you steal someone and they have to show the newspaper that they're
So
alive.
proof of work means that all of the different nodes that are mining, aka trying to solve that complex math problem and then process the information or the data of the current block.
And those are called
They're proving that they're able to do the work. So to the metaphor, it would say like, okay, they would have to prove to each other. It's like, how do we know you have this many guys? How do we know you have this many weapons? How do you know we're actually gonna? Well, you can prove at least how many guys you have by building something that would require that many people, right?
And we're talking about miners. That's what the miners
right. So the miners are proving via work how much capacity they have to compute. If they prove it, they win the Bitcoin. They process the block. If you don't have this, you do not have a decentralized system. You do not have something that you can verifiably trust, so on and so forth.
So there's two questions. One, okay, it makes sense that it's necessary, even though I do feel like there's like a gamey aspect to it. But I see what you're saying. Like
it's totally a game.
You want to prevent people from teaming up and like for your Byzantine metaphor, and so like that way you kind of like you could fuck up the messengers. You can and also geographically like keep them apart. So there's another firewall that seems that is from and adds to the lore of Bitcoin, which is Satoshi, and he owns a certain amount of coins, 10,000 or something.
Satoshi, I think, holds like 1 million tokens.
A million tokens.
Maybe
and
more.
if he sells are they Bitcoin?
Yeah.
So if he sold them right now, it would be like 1 million times 100,000, whatever.
It would fuck everything up. Like if you sell 1% of the supply of any token, it's gonna be fucked.
So
he has almost 10% of the supply. He probably does have 10% of the supply.
And Satoshi, it could be a group of people, it could be one person. No one knows who he is. The identity is completely under seal. Lots of theories. In my opinion, not my opinion, in my total wild guess, after like a few hours of watching a movie and looking into it, it kind of feels like it's a group of people that start off as one person, and then it's kind of a group of people to like fuck things over. But like that original, like fuck the perception up, seeing like, oh, it's him. Like they like that guessing game, and so they all pretended to be Satoshi like on purpose.
Maybe.
But then there's like the real Satoshi is the only one with that sole power to like designate that nuke and sell all that coin if he chooses. And
but I mean, like the.
But I'm saying like
yes,
if he decides I want to end this, he can't. If he sells all the coin, what happens? Okay, another way of putting it, what happens if he sells all the coin?
Then the price would tank, but it wouldn't end anything. It wouldn't end anything.
What would happen? What is a plausible thing that would happen after that? He sells it all. Everything goes to shit.
I mean, he would sell as much as he can, because at some point the markets that he can even unload that amount to would not honor it anymore, right?
Okay.
Now, not only that, he would expose who he is. He can't sell because then he would expose who he is.
But I'm saying he's decided that it's time for that, and he does it.
Theoretically, yes. If Satoshi or the group of people, or the person who controls the wallet, or if anyone gains access to that wallet, that is absolutely a possibility.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, the consensus around Satoshi, specifically amongst the most qualified and educated people on the subject, is that it was a computer scientist named Hal Finney, who is deceased. And so the risk.
There's no way his real name was. I just saw 2001: A Space Odyssey, and there's no way Satoshi's real name is Hal after that. I mean,
apparently,
to name it after the most infamous computer system in cinematic history is.
But I think he was born. He was probably born before 2001 came out. But
yeah, that's just. I'm just saying that is so crazy. Okay, yeah. So Hal Finney. Yeah, go ahead.
There have been, but Hal Finney probably was Satoshi, and so the risk of that type of event happening is probably.
But that's another safeguard in theory. The fact that
it's a theoretical safeguard. Yeah.
It cannot be taken over completely because we have 1 million of these coins that cannot be touched. And at any moment, if someone pisses him off or her off, he can tank the whole thing.
If anything, like maybe his wife, I assume that he set things up. I believe he was struck with an illness, and his death was not a surprise. So I think he had time to prepare things. So I'm sure he set up his wife and loved ones and whatnot. I would assume that, the powers that are capable of trying to track down access to his wallet have and are trying to crack it.
Yeah.
That's certainly a huge risk. I think given that risk, and I think he's a smart enough person to have planned for that type of contingency. Hopefully he has a contingency for that. To be honest, it would be very, very good, and we should get like a super Bitcoiner on that has a better perspective of this history. I have a few people in mind. Any of the hosts of the Bitcoin podcast would be good, and I'll reach out to them, or what used to be known as hashing it out.
So there's the mining, which I really like your Byzantine metaphor. We have Satoshi, who has his proverbial finger on the nuke button to destroy it. And we have, but then there's also this battle, and like everyone wants to, for their own purposes, like ideological, like we went over, or practical, like Bitcoin will become, like, I think maybe 10 years ago, it was what, can Bitcoin crypto become part of the future? And now I think that question is answered. It is, and it will be, but in what way, we are still figuring out and still shaping. I did want to just, I looked this up on Google real quick. So this is how many Bitcoins are there in circulation.
Like 19 million.
Total BTC, 19,883,400. Bitcoins left to be mined, 1,116,600. New Bitcoins per day, 900. Mined Bitcoin blocks, a little over 900,000. And so a percentage of Bitcoin used is almost 95%. So, but those 5% left, you're saying is
that 5% will be completely unlocked by 2040.
And then that whole Byzantine thing is done.
Well, I think by that point, Satoshi wrote that by that point an adequate continuation will have been thought up by the community on how it works, because it is a problem.
But will they even have the power or the?
Yes, because again, it's all about what software the miners decide to run, and if there's consensus.
But what if like JP Morgan buys that shit or something?
Then but then again, it's that bank run on if they buy what exactly?
That software, or someone gets a hold of that
No,
software.
it's not that. It's the software lives in public repositories. The software is agreed upon by a group of developers.
And you're
Um,
saying they are ironclad; they will never sell out.
no, but there's many of them. So the Bitcoin Core devs, there's hundreds of them. So it's distributed. Like you can't, you'd have to get a majority of them to think a certain way.
It's
And
kind
if
of
that
reminding me of
certain way isn't,
Oppenheimer when they all were like all these different random ass scientists trying to make like the fucking nuke.
yeah, but that's what it's like. That's what it is because there's no one ultimate decider. And at the end of the day, even if the Bitcoin Core devs decided that, okay, whatever version of the software it's on now, 0.70. Whatever, let's say, okay, in 0.71, we're making these changes. And the miners go, fuck you, we're not running 71. We're going to continue running 70. So it's the Bitcoin Core devs can write up whatever software they want. But if the miners choose not to adopt it.
And you're saying that this whole environmental aspect of how it's ruining the environment is to stop people from mining.
Yeah, it's trying to dissuade people from becoming involved, and it's one of the corniest college-aged arguments.
Yeah.
It's bad for the environment. Like, you know what else is bad for the environment?
Yeah. By the way, this is Have a Take, Share, and Lake. I am Lake, and that is Share, and we are on Twitter. We're on YouTube, and other forums, and we would love Twitch, and we'd love interaction, and anything. So before, I know we have a hard out today, so I just wanted to go over the 10 top scams and just see what you how about this, just rate them 1 to 10 on how cautious one should be, meaning they are prevalent and dangerous. So actually prevalent 1 to 10 and then dangerous 1 to 10. Are you ready for this game? Okay, phishing scams. Prevalent.
Very 10.
10. How about in danger in terms of like losing your shirt?
So if you keep everything on one device, and you get phished, you're in high gear. Like, it's like an 8 or 9. Hopefully, the bulk of whatever you're holding is in some sort of cold storage that you're not accessing all the time and interacting with, so that even if you do get phished, it's capped. So there is a high potential for losing everything that's on that machine that gets.
So like a 7 or 8.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. So phishing scam seems like number 1 to look out for. Number 2 is pump and dump schemes, and I'm going to define 10. It. Coordinated efforts to inflate price of a coin, usually with low volume tokens, so scammers can sell high and leave with other losses. And here it says avoid hype-driven coins. So we were talking about how Trump had 22 social influencers on crypto at his place on Mar-a-Lago, and the fear for me was they're just all going to pump up his coin or pump up another coin, and now those guys are set up to do the next thing, which is called pump and dump schemes 10, but prevalence. How is it happening all the time?
Yeah. I mean, with pump.fun, it's happening thousands of times a day. At the peak of the last bull run, I was aware, I saw some data that said there were 10,000 scam tokens created every day, just on Binance chain. That doesn't include all the others, and that was like pre-Solana boom. These days, I would say that it's at least that. They are all like more or less pump and dumps. Everyone is speculating on getting in early on a token, and people know this. So as soon as a token hits, and the liquidity is very low, or as soon as a token is created, and liquidity is very low, $5,000, $10,000 market cap, people can realize a 10x if it goes to just $100,000 market cap, which doesn't require that much. It only really requires about $10,000 worth of buy pressure.
And then this leads to, which is kind of connected, and
Yeah,
'Cause-
so what they plan to put action on a chart to make it look organic, draw and use social media or like social engineering attacks to draw, or a
right.
combination of the two, to draw in
Or like
users.
celebrities or whatever.
Oh yeah. It just depends on how many resources you have for it. The most, man, well,
Well,
yeah. So yes, pump and dumps are very prevalent. They happen all the time with big name tokens and small. And the best pump and dump artists in the game are the market makers that prop up the coins with the tokens and coins with the largest amount of liquidity. And they work hand in hand with centralized exchanges to absolutely wreck the common man.
and
Yeah.
that leads to the next one, which is what I feel like is how it's kind of the payoff is the rug pull, where developers create a fake token or DeFi project, lure investors, then drain the liquidity pool and disappear.
Mhm.
Common with anonymous teams and new token offerings. So here's basically how it. So you pump and dump a scheme, you pump and dump a coin, and say this is the best. Or, I'm sorry, you pump up a coin, boom, boom, boom. This is the best. You get tons of people to invest. Let's say $1 billion from the common man, and the valuation's at $4 billion. And then it turns out that 6 to 10 wallets own $3 billion. They cash out at the highest point, the highest to maximize their profit, leaving it to be 75%, sometimes up to 90% drained, and making that coin worthless. And so they will come out a couple $100 million ahead in several hours, while everyone else will basically lose everything. Is this a somewhat accurate summary?
Yeah, exactly.
And that is part of the pump. Like that is connected to pump.
Yeah, like pump and dump and a rug pull, like they can be interchangeable. The tactics that you use, you can almost interchange. They're almost interchangeable.
And if you want a good example, check in Malay, Argentina, and his coin, and that's exactly what happened. And that's why I'm wary of Trump coins and other governments. Okay, I'm just going to list them. You don't have to rate them, or you could just say, like, if you'd like, fake airdrops or giveaways.
10, so prevalent, can fuck you, can drain your wallet.
No, and here it says no legit project will ever ask you to send crypto or receive more. So just know that. So they'll say scammers pretend to be celebrities saying send 1 ETH to get 2. Just know that.
Oh yeah, I mean,
that is
one of my favorite instances of this. I'd actually love your opinion on this. Like, a person creates an address. Oh, remember we were talking about ENS names?
Yeah.
So like you can create like an email, like a handle for a screen name for your ETH address to make it easier to remember, so people can just put that in and it's linked to your address. So an influencer creates a handle called yougetnothing.eth and posts it and says, "Do not send ETH to yougetnothing.eth. You will get nothing." How much ETH do you think was sent to that wallet?
Oh,
over $1 million worth of ETH at the last time.
And were they true to their word?
No one has received anything.
So I would love some other time to get, like, that is part of the nihilism. Like, to me, there's other things that are just internet disturbing, and like it's like I'm not just the crypto, and then there's some things very specific. I would love, to me, there's a bit of a death wish there. Like, I'm just gonna, or like, oh, they're like, but then again, now I'm thinking about it. You're always talking about like psyops and stuff. So like, oh, this is the ultimate psyop. Like, this is like, no one's gonna do it, and I'm gonna be the one to. So yeah, we'll get into that some other time. Okay, and then Ponzi or pyramid schemes.
Very prevalent.
We know.
Yeah, like, I mean, everyone should be familiar with classic.
Right, and that's kind of,
schemes.
It seems like, guaranteed high returns. That's part of the pump. So these are not completely separate. Malicious wallet apps or browser extensions. We were talking about how they can steal your password when you type it into it by a random extension. How they fake your wallet number to match, 90% of the ID, and then you send it to them. So it says only download. This is from ChatGPT. Only download wallets from official app stores or trusted sources like MetaMask, Trust Wallet, etc. Sound good?
Yeah, and again, I like KeyCard. If we're talking about a browser wallet, I would say Rabby.
Yeah,
is
I use Rabby
is the best one.
for my I think it's my $30. Rabby's on it. Impersonation scams, is another one. Fake exchanges. These platforms may let you deposit crypto, but don't allow withdrawals. That is certainly one way of, of investing. Social engineering. Scammers built relationships via forums.
That's a big
Discords.
one. That's a big one.
That's like grooming and all that. And then
Yeah.
last one is dusting attacks, which I've never heard of. You receive a tiny amount of a strange token in your wallet.
Oh yeah, that's very prevalent also.
Interacting with it may expose your wallet to malicious smart contracts. Don't interact with unknown or unsolicited tokens. Okay, wow. That one is pretty clever because
yes.
So okay.
Oh yeah, that's a big one. Like if there's a token,
I get a coin, I get 5 Ethereum or something. Or I don't want to call it Ethereum. 5 random ass coins. And I press on it. What happens? What are they talking about?
So you have a wallet. All of a sudden, a token shows up, puppy token.
Yeah.
You didn't expect it there. You don't know who sent it to you. It's always, do not ever interact with any tokens that you do not expect to be there, just show up in your wallet. The reason being, within the smart contract or the logic within that token, simply interacting with it gives permission to the smart contract that governs that token to all of the tokens in your wallet. So as soon as you try to sell, send, whatever, anything, do any sort of action with those dust scam tokens, your entire wallet likely will get
Should you transfer all the other tokens out of that wallet immediately?
Just leave them alone. Every wallet has functionality to like ignore or hide.
Oh, it does. Okay.
That's what you should do.
Because you don't even want to like delete it. You just want to ignore or hide it.
Yeah, there's no delay. It's like, it's just and so what they do, they're very short-term, quick attacks where they send you the dust, manipulate the market data to make it look like you just got a free $1,000 or more, and you want to induce people to quickly try to sell it. And those are their victims. Those are the people who don't think like, wait a second, where did I get this? Where did this come from? Or just are completely oblivious to that form of attack, which now our viewers are not. That's how we.
Dude, that's only 10. That's only 10. And honestly, the one I fell for are dumber than all of those. For another time, and it had nothing to do with crypto. And I don't want to talk about it because I'm fucking angry. So we have the last bonus tip. If it sounds too good to be true, it is, and no one can guarantee profits in crypto.
Yeah, those stand alone.
But having said that, as someone who doesn't who barely does stocks, who doesn't trust new money, the things I understand, I do think as someone like who got into AI because I just was like, whoa, I might not like it. I might not like, its effect on things, but like it's happening. And if it's happening and it's starting now, I should get into it. My advice is like, I'm going to start getting into crypto because it seems like it's inevitable. And in the beginning, but as it's still kind of to me, it's like birthing into the world, even though it's its own thing already for a long time. It's not new, but for a lot of people it is. God damn. They're after you. So beware.
Very much. It's unregulated. A lot of people
listen to our show to figure out. This was part of the reason why I wanted to have a show where people could like know about these things and understand these things. And then and I thought like Chair, like he knows about it. And so what do you think about all these scams? What do you think about a novice investing into crypto? Start slow.
Certainly I would start very slow, and I would say like try not to trust anyone, and
X-Files.
yeah, move very slow, and as you move, um, know the difference between a cold and a hot wallet, and how to keep yourself safe, what a self-custodied wallet is.
Mhm.
If you do purchase crypto via a centralized exchange, to move that value to a self-custodied wallet. And if it's anything of like, if it's a month or more of your salary, like if it's a month or more of income for you, move it to a cold wallet. And then figure out technically how to operate through that list that I just named. And we will continue to take you through
Yeah.
those steps here at Have a Take with Chair and Lake. I do have a hard out basically right now, so I have to leave.
Well, I have one question though.
Everyone hanging.
Did we reach the
You
number
did not.
of? Okay, so next, if you want to hear the story, we got to get it next week.
Yep. Please tune in next week, folks.
Okay.
If you see this,
Morning Mist, Tailored in Blood, Volume 2 by Origam. It is the second volume in a great series. And yeah, thank you to Chair. We'll be back probably next Thursday.
indeed. Follow us on Twitter at Very Comfy, at Dude_LightLake, at Lake Chair. Subscribe on YouTube, and we'll see you next time, folks. Thank you for propping us up and taking a seat, and take care of each other. Mahalo. Thanks, Lake.
Thank you, Chair.
No one is pork. This is a market for decentralized forms of pork. If people were pork, their assets would be going